Hello and welcome to this episode of the Higher Ed Podcast, where we celebrate academic recruitment and bring education to everyone.
Yes, always exciting to be here.
Today we're taking a deep dive into a fascinating article about talent in higher education.
It really gets into how we define talent and how we nurture it.
And what makes this article particularly interesting is the author's perspective.
Right, they're a dean at a top research university.
Exactly, so they're right there in the thick of it.
And they've also spent years studying how talent has been viewed throughout history.
So they bring this really unique blend of practical experience and historical insight.
Absolutely. And the article challenges us to think beyond the traditional markers of talent.
Those typical things we often focus on, like grades and test scores.
Right. The author argues that we need a much broader, more human definition.
And they really break down this broader definition in a compelling way.
Yeah, they suggest that talent is this mix of qualities.
Things like motivation, enthusiasm, leadership potential.
And then there's this intriguing idea of a spark.
Yeah, the article actually has this great quote about
So
it.
I remember that one.
It says, "Talent is indeed a cluttered list that includes stamina, self-improvement, sturdiness, adhesiveness, and sometimes just a spark that makes a person stand out unexpectedly."
It's a really thought-provoking quote.
It is, and it forces us to consider those less tangible aspects of talent.
The drive, the resilience, the ability to connect with others in unexpected ways.
Exactly, the things that don't always show up on a resume or a transcript.
And those qualities are even more important in today's world, right?
Absolutely. It's a world that's changing so rapidly.
We need people who can adapt, think creatively, solve complex problems.
And those aren't always the things that traditional measures of success capture.
That's for sure.
Now, the article then goes on to explore this idea of lost talent through history,
Yeah, using some really compelling examples.
like Hannah Crafts.
Oh, an amazing story.
She was an enslaved woman who composed an entire novel in her head before writing it down after escaping to freedom.
It makes you wonder how much potential has been overlooked throughout history.
It really does. And the author also highlights Edmonia Goodell Highgate, a teacher whose letters about educating emancipated children offer a glimpse into her incredible passion and dedication,
And then there's Nat Turner.
whose inventiveness really shone through despite the constraints of his circumstances.
All of these stories are reminders of how systemic barriers and limited definitions of success can really obscure talent.
It makes you ask yourself, whose potential are we overlooking today?
Right? Are we still too focused on those narrow metrics?
And that brings us to the author's point about the importance of talent spotting.
Actively seeking out individuals with potential, regardless of their background or how that potential might be expressed.
And the author argues that talent spotting isn't just about identifying raw ability.
It's also about nurturing and cultivating that potential.
They write, "Why is keeping an eye out for talent important? There may be no higher purpose for college and university leaders than raising the aspirations of potentially talented people who are undervaluing themselves."
It's a powerful statement.
It suggests that recognizing and nurturing talent is almost a form of social justice.
A way of creating opportunities for those who might otherwise be overlooked.
Now, the author then goes on to talk about their own personal shift in how they view talent.
Oh, this is fascinating.
They admit that their focus has shifted away from traditional markers of achievement.
And towards noticing that spark above all else.
And I think it speaks to the importance of trusting our instincts.
Sometimes we can sense potential even if we can't quantify it.
That gut feeling can be so powerful.
It's about being open to the unexpected, the possibility that talent can emerge from anywhere.
Absolutely, and then that's something we'll definitely explore further in this deep dive.
I'm looking forward to it.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about what this all means for our listeners.
Okay, sounds good.
How can they apply these insights to their own lives in higher education,
That's a great question.
whether you're a student faculty member or administrator?
What resonates with you about expanding our definition of talent?
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the first step is to really examine our own biases.
Our own assumptions about what talent looks like.
Yeah, are we prioritizing certain skills or experiences over others?
Are we maybe overlooking potential because it doesn't fit into our preconceived notions?
It's a lot about unlearning what we think we know.
Challenging those ingrained beliefs that might be limiting us.
Exactly, and that can be tough, especially in a system that often rewards conformity,
It's essential, though, if we want to create a more inclusive environment.
where everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
The article talks about raising aspirations.
What does that look like in practice?
How do we encourage and support those who might not see their own potential?
It starts with believing in people.
even when they might not believe in themselves.
providing opportunities for them to explore their interests.
To develop their skills, to gain confidence.
And sometimes that means providing mentorship.
Creating supportive environments, maybe just offering a word of encouragement.
It's about recognizing that everyone has something unique to offer.
Creating spaces where those contributions are valued.
And sometimes it's about connecting their passions with potential career paths.
Showing them how their interests can be applied in the real world.
Helping them to see those possibilities.
And then giving them the tools and support to pursue them.
I love that idea.
The article also touches on the dean's historical research.
Those stories as cautionary tales.
What can we learn from those examples of lost talent?
Well, it underscores the importance of creating systems and structures that don't exclude people.
Based on things like background, socioeconomic status, lack of access to traditional education.
We need to be intentional about creating pathways to success for everyone.
Recognizing that talent doesn't always follow a linear path.
Sometimes those detours, those unconventional experiences, those setbacks,
They can contribute to someone's unique strengths and perspectives.
it's those diverse viewpoints that enrich our institutions and society.
Absolutely.
We need to move beyond this idea that talent is something you either have or you don't.
It can be cultivated
Amplified.
through the right opportunities and support.
And those systems need to be designed with equity and inclusion in mind.
We need to be constantly evaluating our practices.
Making sure we're not creating barriers for certain individuals or groups.
Right.
You know, the article focuses on talent in higher ed, but I think these principles apply to any field.
I agree.
It's about shifting away from this scarcity mentality,
The idea that talent is limited.
embracing an abundance approach.
Yeah, what if we believe that everyone has potential?
How would that change how we interact, how we build teams, how we create opportunities?
It's a powerful shift in perspective.
It really is.
It has the potential to be transformative.
When we believe in people, when we see their worth and their potential.
It creates a ripple effect that goes beyond the individual. It impacts our communities, our workplaces, the world.
So true.
So let's talk about some concrete steps for cultivating a talent spotting mindset.
Okay.
What can our listeners do to become more attuned to potential?
Well, it starts with being curious about people,
Asking questions,
listening actively.
trying to understand their perspectives, their passions, what drives them.
Don't just focus on the resume.
Try to see the whole person.
Be present in your interactions.
Put down your phone, make eye contact, really listen.
And sometimes it's about noticing what's not being said.
Those subtle cues,
Those hesitations.
those moments of vulnerability,
that can reveal so much about someone's inner world.
and their potential.
Exactly.
And be open to different forms of expression.
Right. Talent doesn't always show up in those traditional achievements.
It could be found in artistic pursuits, community involvement, entrepreneurial ventures.
Even the way someone approaches everyday challenges.
So broaden your understanding of what success means.
Be willing to look for those sparks of brilliance in unexpected places.
And challenge your assumptions about where talent comes from.
And what it looks like.
It's about expanding our vision
And embracing the richness of human potential.
in all its diverse forms.
I love that.
This has been such a great start to our conversation.
I agree.
I'm already feeling inspired to look at the world with a fresh perspective,
Me too.
and I hope our listeners are as well.
Now let's delve a little deeper into this idea of recognizing talent in ourselves.
That's a crucial part of this journey, too.
It is, and it's something we often overlook.
So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll explore that aspect in more detail.
I'm looking forward to it. It's easy to get caught up in focusing on others.
But yeah, we need to remember that we all have unique talents and gifts.
Right. It's not just about spotting talent in others.
It's about recognizing and nurturing the potential within ourselves, too.
Exactly. And sometimes those talents might be hidden.
Lying dormant, just waiting for the right opportunity.
Or the right nudge to emerge.
So how do we tap into that?
Well, the article talks about the author's own journey of discovering their own spark.
What can we learn from that?
I think it reminds us that personal growth and self-discovery are ongoing.
Yeah, they're lifelong processes.
We're always evolving, learning, expanding our understanding of who we are.
And what we're capable of.
And that evolution often involves taking risks,
Stepping outside our comfort zones.
embracing new challenges,
Maybe seeking out mentors.
connecting with people who share our passions.
Or even just taking time for reflection.
Yeah, carving out that space for self-exploration.
It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life.
But taking that step back to really assess our strengths, our values,
or our aspirations.
that can be so powerful.
It allows us to reconnect with that inner spark.
And to identify areas where we might want to grow or explore further.
And that exploration might lead us down unexpected paths.
Opening up new possibilities.
Opportunities we might never have imagined.
The author talks about how their focus has shifted away from needing external validation.
It's more about an intrinsic sense of purpose now.
It's about finding that alignment between our talents, our passions.
Our work in the world.
Yeah, and that alignment can bring deep satisfaction.
Even when the work is challenging.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
What can they carry with them on their talent journeys?
Both personally and professionally.
I think first and foremost, it's about embracing a growth mindset.
This idea that talent isn't fixed.
It can be cultivated, developed over time.
We all have the potential to learn, to grow, to achieve.
Regardless of where we start.
And it's about embracing the journey.
With all its twists and turns.
Knowing that each experience contributes to our growth.
Whether it's positive or negative.
Second, I think it's about becoming more intentional about talent spotting.
In ourselves and in others.
Paying attention to those sparks of brilliance.
Those moments of insight and creativity.
Those individuals who might not fit the mold.
But who possess a unique set of talents and perspectives.
And it's about creating environments where those talents can flourish.
In our classrooms, our workplaces, our communities.
Kindly, I think it's important to remember that talent isn't just about individual achievement.
It's about collective impact, too.
When we nurture and support one another.
When we create opportunities for collaboration and innovation.
When we work together to solve challenges.
We unlock a collective potential that's so much greater
than the sum of its parts.
And that's a powerful vision to carry with us.
As we navigate higher education and the world beyond.
Yeah, it's about expanding our vision.
And embracing the richness of human potential.
In all its diverse forms.
I love that.
Me too.
We've been talking about talent in others.
Right, recognizing that potential.
But it's equally important to recognize the potential in ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
It's easy to focus outward.
But we need to remember we all have talents and gifts.
To offer the world.
And sometimes those talents are hidden.
Waiting to be discovered.
The author talks about their own journey of finding their spark.
What can we learn from their experience?
Well, it reminds us that growth, self-discovery, they're lifelong journeys.
Yeah, we're always evolving.
Totally.
Expanding our understanding of who we are and what we can do.
And that evolution often involves taking risks.
Stepping outside those comfort zones.
Embracing new challenges.
Right. And it might involve seeking out mentors.
Connecting with others who share our passions.
Or just carving out time for reflection.
That's self-exploration.
It's so easy to get swept up in the busyness of life.
But taking that step back to assess our strengths, our values,
our aspirations,
it can be so powerful.
Like hitting the reset button.
Yeah, reconnecting with that inner spark.
Identifying areas where we want to grow or explore further.
And that exploration can lead us down unexpected paths.
New possibilities, new opportunities.
The author talks about how their focus has shifted.
Away from that external validation.
It's more about an intrinsic sense of purpose now.
Finding that alignment.
Between our talents, our passions, our work.
Yeah, that alignment can bring so much satisfaction.
Even when the work is tough.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today.
What are some key takeaways for our listeners?
What can they carry with them on their talent journeys?
Well, first, I think it's about embracing a growth mindset.
This idea that talent isn't fixed.
It can be cultivated, developed over time.
We all have potential to learn, to grow, to achieve.
Regardless of our starting point.
And it's about embracing the journey itself.
All those twists and turns.
Knowing that each experience shapes us.
Second, I think it's about being intentional with talent spotting.
In ourselves and in others.
Paying attention to those sparks of brilliance.
Those moments of insight, creativity.
Those individuals who might not fit the mold.
But who have unique talents and perspectives.
And it's about creating environments where those talents can thrive.
Our classrooms, our workplaces, our communities.
Exactly.
And finally, I think it's about remembering that talent isn't just about individual success.
It's about collective impact, too.
When we support each other, when we collaborate, when we innovate.
When we work together to solve challenges.
We unlock a collective potential that's far greater than any one person.
It's a powerful idea.
It really is.
And I think it's a great note to end on.
I agree. This has been such a thought-provoking conversation.
I've really enjoyed it.
Me too. And, for our listeners who are in higher education
and are looking for new opportunities.
or looking to hire talented individuals.
Check out academicjobs.com
It's a fantastic resource.
for connecting with people and institutions who are shaping the future.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into talent.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
And are feeling inspired to embrace your own unique spark.
Until next time, keep those sparks burning bright